Recognizes the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Latta.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Secretary, thanks for being with us today.
Yes, sir.
Like you, I believe in promoting American energy security, and that means an all-of-the-above energy policy for the United States. And I'd like to take a moment to thank you for your recent actions to start those conversations about energy mix and energy markets. And I'd like to now focus on a couple of items of legislation I've been working on. Mr. Secretary, in addition to the mandatory efficiency standards, there's also a voluntary program called Energy Star that identifies those appliances that go above and beyond the federal efficiency standards by allowing them to carry the Energy Star label. This label allows consumers who want ultra-efficient appliances to easily identify which models save the most energy. However, in 2009, the Obama administration shifted the lead role for this voluntary program from the DOE to the EPA. Many have complained that the EPA is the wrong agency to handle what is fundamentally an energy program. And, Mr. Secretary, do you believe that the Energy Star program is one that should be led by the DOE or the EPA?
Well, from a scientific standpoint, I think that the question answers itself on its face. Is the national labs that have the scientific ability to look at these programs and actually analyze them in a scientific way reside over DOE.
Thank you. And given that DOE has been setting the mandatory efficiency standards for appliances for 30 years, do you also believe that your agency and not the EPA has that relevant expertise? And going back and talking about with the standards you just said, I'd assume that'd be
yes.
That'd be yes. And would you also support legislation that would clearly make the DOE the lead agency on the Energy Star program?
You know, that's going to be your call, sir, but it makes abundant sense to me that would be a good slot for it to reside in.
Thank you. And, Mr. Secretary, I appreciate your previous words of support for advanced nuclear technologies. As you may know, in January, the House passed my legislation, the Advanced Nuclear Technology Development Act, by a voice vote. And this legislation will help pave the way for American innovators, nuclear engineers, and entrepreneurs to design, develop, license, and ultimately deploy the next generation of nuclear reactor technologies. The Department of Energy's Office of Nuclear Energy plays an important role in supporting these potentially breakthrough technologies, in addition to appropriately coordinating with the NRC to assure that those technologies will navigate the NRC's rigorous regulatory approval process. And Mr. Secretary, what is your vision for DOE's advanced nuclear technology programs, and how do you plan to assure that there's appropriate alignment with the NRC on those advanced reactor licensing activities?
We think small modular reactors, advanced reactors, are the real wave of the future. One of the reasons that we think it's important to support the nuclear industry today is because we've been losing that race, if you will. We don't want to get to the point in the globe where the only people that have the technology, that have the supply chain capability, are the Russians, the Chinese, and or the Koreans. And that is a concern of mine, that we are headed that direction in this country today because of the lack of support for the civil nuclear power industry. Idaho National Lab has a substantial project. Hopefully we can see the funding go forward on those small modular reactors, and that 10 years down the road, people will look back and said, we made the right decisions about focusing on advanced reactors, and that the country's better served, and America takes its rightful place back as the lead on innovation and supply chain and the brain power and the nuclear side of the equation.
Well, thank you very much. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back the balance of my time.
I believe you're the first one to actually yield.